Tuesday. We hope you guys are doing fantastic. We're back for another week of A Force to Be Reckoned.
I was like, hi.
We hope you enjoyed the episode last week. We got a little fiery. It was really fun. I feel like it was one of the first ones in a while that we were like, it's because we were sitting on it for so long.
And we're sitting on it for so long.
We just want to have a quick, we don't have an outline, but this is a little bit going off of last week's episode. We want to have a more candid, off-the-cuff conversation about parenting as we are now in year 2 of teen parenting. And just
She means when she said this, I thought of parents that are teenagers. We're talking about people parenting teens.
They know we're not teens.
Well, see, I'm not the smartest person in the...
You've got a full beard and wrinkles.
I'm not a fool.
You're not a teen. But, yeah.
Can we put a filter on that gives me a glow up?
As you guys know, we've got 5 kids. Our oldest is now 14. And, we're new to this.
And, bro, we got, what do they call before you're a teen? A tween? Is that what they call it?
We got a tween.
We got a tween.
And then we've got littles, which is that in itself has been such a struggle of just a big family is hard.
Yeah.
Right. And then
the age gaps.
The age gap is really hard because it's it would be so fun to go fishing with Carter and Liberty and Maya. And also the babies would drown.
Yeah, they would just jump right off.
So
you're sending out a cast. Oh, there's a kid in the water.
And then it's it would be so fun to go to Chuck E. Cheese. And then Carter would be bored out of his mind.
He's like, what is this?
So we're learning, but, we just are saying to ourselves every day and reminding our kids, we just had this conversation with our kids yesterday, that this is the family that God has given us. And before he ever created any of the 5 kids.
Or us.
He knew that this was our family, that this is the family. We were the parents that he was going to place these 5 kids with. And we need to find encouragement in that. And even on the days that we don't feel equipped because we're not equipped, we can go to the feet of Jesus and just be reminded and encouraged that through him, we are equipped because this is the family he has called us to.
Right.
And
we tell our teen, hey, you're our first kid. So everything that you go through is our first time going through it too.
Mm-hmm.
As parenting somebody that's going through that. So the first time you were in elementary school, that was our first time parenting a kid in elementary school.
Yeah.
Middle school is our first time. Playing sports is our first time being parents of somebody playing sports.
Yeah.
So this is our first time parenting somebody that is going into high school.
Yeah. And so with that, I think a really big thing that goes a long way with our relationship with our kids and with other parents is just total humility.
Yeah. And openness about that.
Not everybody's like this. And I know you have to find your people that you're comfortable with. I'm not saying just go dump to everybody because that could be actually quite harmful. And I do think that sometimes people don't always give the best advice, but humility in saying to our kids, like we say to Carter, we've never done this before. We're doing our best and we are doing what we feel God is asking us to do as your parents, but we're still going to mess up.
Right.
And when we realize we mess up in the moment, we're going to apologize and we're going to make it right. But there's still just some mistakes that we're going to make that then, sorry, Liberty, we learned it through Carter.
Right.
And now because of learning it through Carter, we have to do things differently the next time around because the definition of insanity is continuing to do the same thing over and over again. And so
expecting a different result.
One of them was that we gave Carter a phone way too early.
Yep.
And so if you're a younger parent out there listening, and this is such a hard time to parent, and I don't want this to be a full-on tech episode, more just a general.
Yeah. Just an example.
Here's your friends. We're sitting down. We're talking about this and just encouraging you that we're all going through the same stuff. But the phone, we realized, and I want to preface this with saying every family has different dynamics. Every parent has different convictions.
And every kid is different.
This isn't a rule book of this is what we recommend, but you're based on your kid's personality, based on what you feel like you're supposed to do as their parent. You know what's best for your parent. You have to make that decision. We gave Carter his phone when he was 11, 9 for Christmas.
And that was a Gab phone.
It was a Gab phone, no internet, only call and text. And we were but also, he had practices we told him this is a tool. We were super strict with it. But even then, looking back, now Liberty's 11 and she still doesn't have her own phone. Like there were ways that we were like, that we could have like
we could have figured it out without it.
We could have figured it out without it. And
like we didn't have phones when we were 9.
Yes. And even though, here's why, even though he didn't have the internet, he didn't have games, he literally couldn't do anything with it. It was like a dinosaur phone. The habit of being so accessible was
even just through text
problematic. And even just with family, because he would end up having conversations with like a family member and they would get into the habit of texting him for plans. Like he would do this with your mom. And I'm not just calling your mom out like in a bad light, but like it's like undermining for us at least. Like it felt.
He'd be like, "Oh, hey, I was texting her and
I'm going to her house." And it's like that needs
talk to us.
Yeah. Like it just, you realize how intentional you have to be with the phone. So one of the things was like that, like we're still the parents, things need to go through us. You shouldn't be having access to be able to just like text these people as a 9-year-old and make plans, because we're the parents and we need to be intentional and protect our schedules and all that. Maybe that sounds crazy, but that's how it goes with our family. And 2, the communication skills. Like,
oh, they're so bad.
We had like, he's 9, you know, and back to back to back to back to back texts. And it's like, you have to be aware that like when you hand your child a device, they're going to need some direction on like, it's not courteous.
Dude didn't even know how to get off the phone. Right. He was just like, hang up. It's like, dude, you got to say bye.
Right. So just like realizing that when that does happen, there needs to be time and space to coach them through conversations and how to have a conversation and proper phone etiquette and proper grammar, which although having proper grammar right now is like really not cool. That's how you know you're old. But I don't have proper grammar because I'm texting and driving.
I judge people that don't do at least some level of proper grammar in the text.
Yeah. But anyway,
like, come on.
Like all this
type out
to
the
say,
word you. Don't use the letter you.
That was one lesson that
Are you that dumb?
We learned as parents. Like 9 was too young, even though it was a tool for practice and for calling us when he was at a friend's house, because it is scary, like to have sleepovers and, you know, not have access to your kid. But but it was too much too soon. So how we're navigating that.
Some families don't even do sleepovers.
Yeah.
Which is another thing.
Right.
And I'm not like, sometimes I'm like, maybe we should have done that.
Yeah.
We should do that.
But how we're navigating that now with Liberty, who just turned 11, is we did just get a phone that is a home phone for her. And we're like, sorry, like it's a little bit of a bummer to her because she always thought, well, Carter got this phone when I was when he was 9 and I didn't. Well,
we just told her like, hey, we jacked up, dude.
Yeah. So it's a home phone that she is not to have at all. It has no internet, has no YouTube, it has no games, nothing until like if there's a reason. So we have 5 kids. Sometimes we have to drop her off at practice and we can't stay. She would take the phone to call us in case of an emergency.
Somebody else's house.
If she goes to sleep over at a house, we want her to be able to have access to us in case like she's feeling like she wants picked up. And it's awkward to say to, like, she could very easily say to the mom, like if it's a mom that we're friends with and she's comfortable with, hey, I want to go home. But sometimes, anyway. So stuff like that. But that's not even the whole point of this episode. What is the point?
Well, in saying that is we have more recently, I think, we've felt like we're like our kids would be like, well, so-and-so, they don't have any restrictions on their phone and they have unlimited YouTube and unlimited Snapchat or whatever. And the kids start to maybe give you some pressure and you feel like we kind of feel that pressure a little bit. Because then we're like, well, we don't want Carter to feel weird.
Or isolated.
And it's like, okay, we feel like we're on an island and we're like these strict parents doing all these strict things. And we don't want to like,
have him be cut out of invitations to things because he doesn't have a phone, or
so you think about those things.
Be asked to go over to a friend's house because they couldn't text him, and so you know what I mean.
Yeah, I don't want him to feel left out in a sense, right, or isolated, and we feel like, oh, well, we must be the only people doing this.
Yeah,
and then we realize that we're not.
Yeah, because
everybody's going through this.
All of the kids are saying, You're so strict. Nobody's as strict as you. Everybody else has access to this stuff. And then it's...
As our one friend said, well, you're the second most strict parent I know. You're not as strict as so-and-so, but you're the second most strict. And then she told us like what they do. And we're like, dude, I know like 10 other parents that are more strict than you.
Yeah. So like the first encouragement that we're learning is go talk to the parents, because chances are they're being
We're all
pretty-
navigating this
Yeah.
really for the first time.
But
This
what
is
happens
so new.
what happens when you come across a kid who you like and enjoy, but they actually do have no limits? Like, how do we, and then you're feeling like, well, this is a good kid and those are good parents that I love and respect. So maybe this
Right.
isn't such a bad thing. And like, maybe we should allow them to
Yeah.
have social media because this family's doing it and they're having good controls on it and it's working out well for them. Again, it goes back to following the conviction of you as an
Right.
individual parent, because you know your children, you know their personalities, and you know your capacity and margin. Like maybe that parent has more margin to monitor than you do.
Yeah. I think that it's really good to talk. I encourage everybody to talk to Christian parents and see what they're doing, maybe pick up some tips and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, don't just do what everyone else is doing for the sake of doing what everyone else is doing. Like it goes back to the last week's episode of seek Christ, seek your relationship with Christ, take these things to him, and then how you handle your kid's phone or other things that we're talking about with our kids is an outpouring of your relationship with Christ. Because like you said, so, all families are different, dynamics are different, kids are different. Some kids are more mature than other kids. They can maybe handle some things a little bit more.
Yeah. This just gave me a thought, like, because I also know we have younger people listening too who we didn't necessarily grow up in the tech era. We kind of grew up right before it, and then it was like thrust upon us. And so we were almost like the guinea pigs. There are kids who are maybe in their early to mid 20s or younger that I don't know, and if younger is listening to this, but like I'm curious to know, and maybe you can send us a message through the link in our show notes, if like what your limits have been growing up, or even as a young adult, what your limits set for yourself, and if you wish they would have been more strict.
Yeah.
Because as a parent, I wonder that, because
When you
it's
look
just,
back now, maybe you're in your early 20s and you
It
look
is-
back to when you were in high school and just think like, oh, you know what?
or
I didn't
not
have any
even-
restrictions. Maybe I should have had this.
Not
Or my
even
parents were
just-
too strict. Maybe I could have had
not
this.
even just with tech, but like, what is a rule that your parents had that didn't make sense when you, and so this could go for anybody listening. What's a rule that your parents had growing up that when you were a kid, you hated it and it didn't make sense, but looking back and you were like, when I'm a parent, I'm never going to do that. Cause I can think of one right now that now as a parent, you're like, this makes sense. And I know my kids are going to hate it, but I'm doing it anyway. For me, do you have one?
No.
You don't?
No,
Cause why? Because you were allowed to do whatever you wanted?
pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
But do you feel like that was a mistake?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we shouldn't.
No, I want to hear your. No, yeah, I do think it was a mistake. Yeah, I wish I would have had a little more restrictions.
For
on
me,
things.
one that I've been thinking of a lot recently is TVs in our rooms. When I was younger, I wanted a TV in my
Oh,
room
yeah.
so bad because like cable was newer. I loved Disney Channel. I loved making videos, and I just like, I wanted a TV in my room so bad. My best friend in elementary school, Cammie, she had a TV in her room, and we would do sleepovers at her house because we could watch TV, and it was truly harmless. And so at the time, I'm like, I'm not doing anything bad. Like, I just want a TV in my room so I can hang out in my room. And when I'm a parent, I'm going to let my kids have TVs in their rooms. And now as an adult, I so appreciate that, because I think like, how many hours would I have spent in my room?
Right.
And again, like, we're probably the very, 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 very minority. It's very normal to have TVs in your room. Like, and we even have TVs.
Oh yeah.
in our
Well,
room.
I thought it was weird when we first were dating, and nobody in your house had TVs in their rooms, because when I was growing up, we had TVs in our rooms.
Yeah.
Now we couldn't afford cable.
Yeah.
But so I had like an old school antenna, and I could get 4 channels and watch like Jay Leno's late night show in my room on my little box TV.
Yeah.
But-
and I thought at the
yeah.
time, I'm like, it's just because my parents want to monitor what I'm watching and they don't trust me. But like now with our kids
Kinda.
who don't have TVs in their rooms, for me, it's not even that. It's just like,
I know, but a little bit.
we want to watch TV
Together.
together. And like, I want to limit as much. I want our kids to feel comfortable in our rooms. And like, if they need alone time, they can go to their rooms. but I don't want them for their rooms to be their sanctuaries.
Right.
I want our house and our common areas to be their sanctuaries. The kitchen where we can cook food together, the living room where we can watch a movie together, the dining room where we can build a puzzle together, the back patio where we can.
Well, to be honest with you, because they're even in our house, like they have their TV in the basement. We've set the basement up for them, and there are times where they escape to down there, and we're like, dude, like they shouldn't be down there. Like we should be hanging out. So we'll have them come up, but they already do that to an extent, even with that space.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't even know what even is the point. Like how did we get here? How did we get on TVs in our rooms? I'm trying to think of another rule. One I still don't understand to this day is the no spaghetti strap tank tops. Like it was hot, man.
It's hot out here.
But I don't know. I would be curious to know, you guys, like send us a message. What's a rule that like as a kid you didn't appreciate, but as a parent you now appreciate? Or the flip, that you wish would have been more strict on, that you were like negatively impacted by, that now as a parent. So I think like sleepovers would be one, like maybe a parent is really strict on sleepovers because of something maybe they experienced as a kid where there weren't as tight rules, Yep. So, but okay, the last thing I want to talk about, this episode's a little bit all over the place, but I like doing ones like this. But we're navigating this. Like we said, it's so hard and tricky, and like tech is so new, and we're not sure of the long-term effects. But what I can say specifically for tech is like I see the decline in people skills and customer service, and I truly believe 100%. That's from tech. But also just as a whole, it is so easy to get caught up in what's this family doing and what's this family doing, not just with tech, with everything, and then feeling like, well, I want my kid to fit in and I don't want them to be an outcast, so maybe I should bend on this rule. And I will say that we have bent on some rules that I don't regret, that we've been too strict, and then Carter has earned our trust, and we've been able to loosen the reins a little bit by earning our trust.
Do you have an example?
Riding his bike.
Yeah.
Riding his bike.
Because in like you hear the stories of kids getting like kidnapped and stuff like that, or somebody hitting somebody with their car that's on a bike, and you hear these horror stories, and I do think we hear them more because technology is so prevalent that we hear stories we wouldn't have heard in the past. But we have to we live in a dangerous world, and to some extent we have to let them like go out. Like we can't just put them in this protective bubble all the time. Yeah. So we do allow Carter to ride his bike like around. Now he has a rule with that where he has to stay off of main roads. Like he can cross a main road, but he can't just go down a main road because people are dumb.
Texting and driving.
And driving. And so, but we want him to do that because like
we want him to be outside.
Right. And I did that when I was a kid.
And it is a different world, and there are different precautions that we do need to take as parents.
But we kind of came to the realization we'd rather them be outside doing something active rather than sitting on a screen.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think what we're the last thing I wanted to say with this is just how are we navigating this with conversations with our kids? Because one of the worst things as a kid is to feel like we have these rules, we have these bounds, they don't make sense to me, I don't like them, and this like because I said so kind of parenting.
Yeah.
I think kids need to respect authority.
Mm-hmm.
It says it in the Word of God that you need to honor your father and mother. And so they need to know to respect authority, even if it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But as parents, we can earn that respect a little bit more when we explain our rationale of why our family does this differently.
Yeah, even if they don't agree, even if they don't get it, hopefully at some point, and that's kind of why we wanted to know from some people that are maybe in their early 20s, is that at some point they hopefully look back and say, oh, okay, now I get it. Now I know why you did this. Okay, and then maybe they do that with their kids because we explained it to them properly.
Yeah, and so this feels a little bit like preaching to the choir because I know a lot of you out there are already having these exact conversations with kids, but some of you might be a couple of steps behind us with younger kids and are trying to figure out like, yeah, how am I going to navigate that? Like, how am I going to be a strict parent that my kids still love and respect and want to be around? Because ultimately, like, you need to balance being strict and like having boundaries with also being a fun family that your kids want to be around and their friends want to come.
Right.
At least that's like our intention because we want to have both of those things because we want to have kids at our house and we don't want them to be like, that's the boring, dreadful house. So there's like other ways for us to have fun. We play games, we go on walks, we, you do all different kinds of stuff. But go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think it's the principle of it is applicable to everything, and it goes back to like take in the information, right? Like figure out what other parents are doing that Christian parents, read parenting books, listen to the podcast, but at the end of the day, take it to Jesus, take it to Christ, and just say and ask yourself why. Like if you have a really strict rule, like why do you have that rule? Like question yourself and pray about it. And if you have a loose rule, like take that to Jesus and pray about it as well, and then do what you feel like God is wants you to do for those things. It comes as it's an outpouring again of your relationship with Christ. It's absolutely good. You don't want to be an idiot and not know what other people are doing and learn what other people have done. But at the end of the day, take all of that information and take it to Christ and go and then see if it works, and be open with your kids. Be okay saying, hey, you know what? We screwed up. Maybe we gave you a little extra, too much screen time on your phone. We need to dial it back a little bit. Mm-hmm. Or, hey, we only gave you an hour of screen time on your phone and you seem to be doing really well with it. You're mature. Like, okay, maybe let's try giving you a little more. Be flexible and be okay it's not set in stone.
But
that goes for anything. It could be the riding the bike thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And the bottom line is figuring out what works for you guys as a family, being humble enough to pivot when pivots need to happen, and then sharing why that pivot needed to happen. And just having the words to your kids of like, this is why we have chosen this rule. And when they push back and say, well, the other kids and you like this kid and this kid's allowed to do it, and saying, I don't answer to that child and I don't answer to that parent. I answer to God, and you're my child, and this is what works for our family, and this is why we're making this decision.
Right. I just told Carter the other day. I told him, I said, when I get to heaven, God's going to hold me accountable for how I parented you. And so I need to do what I feel like from my relationship with him and reading the Bible, like how God wants me to parent you. That's what I have to do, because if I don't, then that's not going to go well for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's hard. It's hard being a parent, but it's also...
And don't be afraid being weird.
Yeah.
I guess that is the other thing that we did. I mean, we kind of danced around it, but don't be like when you tell your kids that you're accountable to God, don't feel the pressure from the outside, whether that is other Christians or the world. Like if you feel convicted that this is how God wants you to parent your kid in this way and these things, like it's okay. Don't care what other people think. Like live how God called you to live, and then other people can feel however the heck they want to feel.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. I think that's good. I mean, a lot of this episode I do think is preaching to the choir. And so the purpose of it wasn't maybe to give you new tools or tips, but just to remind you that we're kind of all in the thick of it. Based on, we don't know exactly the people that are listening, but we can see some stats and ages and things like that, and feedback from messages we get and people we talk to in real life. But we're kind of all in similar seasons of life. And one of the tactics of the enemy is for us to feel like I'm the only one walking through this. Like this is I only have this struggle with my teen. Like I am the strictest parent and I don't want my kid to resent me. And the bottom line is that's not true.
Right. And
surrounding yourselves with community, which we have an episode coming up on Acts 2, and community of like-minded people, and being vulnerable and sharing, like, this is a struggle I'm having. Like, are you guys in the same boat? I would be like 98% of the time when we are walking through something that has to do with parenting and we're like, this is just us. Like nobody gets it. We share it and people are like, yeah, us too. We're walking through the exact same thing.
Right. We're like, oh, we're not the only weird ones.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, that's what we got.
That's it. That's all of it right there in a nice package.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about this episode, but we'd love to hear from you guys. We have some more stuff in the works. I'm going to have my grandma on soon, which I cannot wait. This is another one I've been talking to her for over a year about coming on.
Uncensored.
And I cannot wait to have her on. But in the meantime, we would love for you to share the show, review the show, screenshot it and text it to a friend. Send us a message by clicking the message thing in the show notes. And yeah, we'll catch
Yeah.
you guys next week.
Stay classy.